Hello everyone, it's Ryan Archer at West Ham Fan TV. I'm back with another top 5 show. This week, West Ham head up to the Midlands where we take on West Bromwich Albion at the Hawthorns to hopefully build on our successful 2-0 home win this week against Huddersfield Town. So let's get straight into it. This week, I'm going to be doing top 5 Premier League wins at the Hawthorns. So let's start off. Number 5, we go back to the 23rd of February 2003. It was West Bromwich Albion 1, West Ham United 2. The attendance that day was 27,042. The referee was Mike Dean. And the scorers on that day, Trevor Sinclair put us 1-0 up just before half-time. Danny Dichio equalised for West Brom on the 51st minute. And then Trevor Sinclair got the winner that day on the 67th minute. That was our first ever Premier League victory at the Hawthorns. It was a crucial win that season. As you know, that season we was battling against relegation. But as we know, it didn't end well that season. We was relegated on the final day of the season at St Andrews, where we lost to Birmingham City. So even though it was a victory that season at the Hawthorns, in the end it didn't help us out. But yeah, that's my number 5. Now let's move on to number 4. It was West Bromwich Albion 1, West Ham United 2. It was the 2nd of December 2014. The attendance that day was 23,975. Michael Jones was the referee that day. Scorers was Craig Dawson, put West Brom 1-0 up in the 10th minute. Captain Kevin Nolan equalised on the 35th minute. And then just before half-time, James Tompkins ended up scoring the winner. And yeah, I mean, that win that day put us 5th in the table. Remember, this was around Christmas time. So for us to be 5th, under Big Sam as well, was massive. We was just 1 point behind Man United after this game, going into Christmas period. We finished that season's 12th under Big Sam, which was quite a good finish for us in the end. But to be up and around the top 5 around Christmas time is always good. So let's hope, fingers crossed, we can get up there this season. Now let's move on to number 3. Not a massive scoreline this one, but it was West Brom 0, West Ham United 1. It was the 1st of May 2006. The attendance that day, 24,462. The referee was Graham Poll, and the scorer that day was our captain, youngest captain to ever lead us out in an FA Cup final, Nigel Reo-Coker, just before half-time, 42nd minute. Like I said, this was a great win. It was a memorable first season back in the Premier League that year. As we know, on the final day of that season, we beat Spurs to stop them getting the Champions League because of Lasagna Gate, as they call it. I just call it, we beat them on the day, you know, fair and square. We finished 9th that season, so it was our first season back in the Premiership after relegation. And yeah, it was a great season under Alan Pardew. And of course, we reached the FA Cup final that season, where it still hurts now to say it. We lost on penalties to Liverpool when we was moments away from winning that cup. Like I said, it still hurts this day, but look, that will probably go down as one of the greatest FA Cup finals of all time. And even though we didn't win it, it was still a great day out. And hopefully, in the near future, we can have another FA Cup final appearance. Now let's move on to number 2. This one was a draw. I think most of you know what one I'm going to say, but this was a draw. But believe me, this felt like a win on the day. It was West Bromwich Albion 3, West Ham United 3. It was the 12th of February 2011. The attendance that day, 23,916. The referee was Lee Mason. And the scorers that day, 3rd minute, Graham Durans put West Brom 1-0 up. Jerome Thomas, quickly after, 8th minute, 2-0 up. And then on the 32nd minute, an own goal by Winston Reid. I mean, we was dead and buried at half-time. Scott Parker, a few of the players, especially Colton Cole, said that Scott Parker done the team talk that day at half-time, and he brought a couple of the players to tears, including Colton Cole. and the second half fight back that day. Demba Ba, 5 minutes after half time, got us back in the game. 8 minutes later, sorry, Colton Cole got us the second goal. And then Demba Ba in the 83rd minute equalised. And that's why I said it felt like a win. Because that season, as you know, we were struggling against relegation. We had a glimmer of hope of getting out. But in the end, it meant nothing. But to come back from 3-0 down in any game is... I'm not going to say the spirit of Istanbul as we know Liverpool did, because it's totally different. But to be 3-0 down and come out, and I think just hearing the stories of Scott Parker that season, especially in that game, the way he gave the half-time team talk and brought players to tears, I'd love to know what he said, and I'm hoping that in the near future one of the players will actually come out and tell us. So now I'm going to move on to number one. This is the reason why this is my number one, because I think this was the perfect performance. When you go to a game and you want your team to put on a perfect performance, this day was that. It wasn't too long ago. It was on the 30th of April 2016. It was West Brom 0, West Ham 3. The attendance that day, 25,031. The referee, once again, was Lee Mason. He's seen a lot of goals in these fixtures when he's refereed it. Scorers that day, Kouyaté, 34th minute, 1-0 up. Just before half-time, Mark Noble put us 2-0 up. And then the third goal was a wonder strike by Mark Noble. I remember that just in front of the away fans. Carroll headed it across, and then Noble just smashed it on a volley, roof of the net. And like I said, it was an all-round perfect performance of that day. One man that stood out was our player of that season, was Dimitri Payet. He run the show from start to finish. Other players that day, Noble, Carroll, Kouyaté, Lanzini, all put on massive performances. And like I said, it was a perfect day, all-round performance. I mean, that win actually put us on 59 points, which was our highest ever Premier League total, with still games to spare. It put us up to 5th that day as well. 5 points behind Man City. We still had a glimmer of hope of reaching Champions League football, but as we all know, we went on to lose to Swansea. It wasn't a great end of the season, but we finished on 62 points that season, and of course, we was all left with that memorable game, the last ever home game at the Bowling against Manchester United, where we won 3-2. So look, it was, like I said, it was a memorable season. We needed special players that season. We was given Dimitri Payet for that season, who give us memories. Whatever's happened after, I'm just going to remember him from that season because, like I said, he gave us memories, and it was a great all-round performance. So that is my number one. So our Premier League record at the Hawthorns, we've got quite a pretty good record there. We've played 9, won 4, lost 3, drawn 2. So hopefully we can turn that number 4 into a number 5 and we get a win this week at the Hawthorns. So look, as always, put your comments below. Give me your thoughts on your memories for any of these games. Like I said, this is West Ham's record at the Hawthorns during the Premier League. So look, as always, keep subscribing to our channel. We're going to have loads of content coming up over the weekend. Fan cams from the Hawthorns. Me and Nicky are going up there. And of course, post-match pint when we get back. So look, thank you so much for watching this show. This was another Top 5. I'm Ryan Archer at West Ham Fan TV. Come on, you Irons.